issue. A lot of things have to happen. It has to be that perfect storm for our government to find the need for an emergency issue on a coin, let alone one on the Silver Eagle dollar coin. So we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about this very important piece of paper, this letter that's coming along with it. This is new. We do have the FlexPay available. Your item number's right there if you're ready to start ordering now so that you can sit back and relax and just listen to the really fascinating story behind this one. It's 735-646. Don't forget, you can call, go to our website, or use our free app. But this is when you have that high demand and short supply. Mike, what happened that we needed this emergency issue?
Well, 2020, we've already talked about the 2020 Silver Eagle, a lot, because it's, like I said, the most popularly collected Silver Eagle. I'm so proud that we were able to actually bring quantities of all of these, that we're actually able to have them in stock and ready to ship. So 2020 rolls around in January, and it was already the biggest selling Silver Eagle in the history of the United States Mint, because the Mint announced they were changing the design in 2021. So demand had skyrocketed. The Mint struggled to keep up. They just couldn't. They were barely trying, and they'd get behind, and they'd get behind. And then, of course, we have the advent of the coronavirus pandemic. And the United States Mint, like the rest of the country and the United States government, reacted to that. And they did that, of course, with, Mint shutdowns. And so they shut down the San Francisco Mint for 6 weeks. And so they reduced staff, they closed them. And then, so what happened was that doesn't do anything but increase the demand for Silver Eagles. So the United States Mint is in a quandary. They can't make enough change, let alone Silver Eagles, but they're trying. And so what they did, all of these Silver Eagles are usually made at the West Point Mint. Well, the West Point Mint got shut down. And so the Philadelphia Mint tried to pitch in, and we heard about this. Okay. So we asked the United States government, we said, hey, did you make some American Silver Eagles at Philadelphia, which is very unusual? They said, yes, we did. And they sent us a letter, as they have to do with the Freedom of Information Act. And if you look at it right next to the coin, we have a copy of that letter, which, by the by, you will receive with your coin. And it says, in light of the ongoing coronavirus pandemic, the United States Mint has temporarily reduced production at its facilities in order to reduce the risk of employee exposure to COVID-19. The health and safety of the U.S. Mint workforce remains our highest priority. Typically, American Silver Eagle bullion coins are minted at the Mint's West Point facility. However, due to the reduced production at West Point Mint facility amid the coronavirus pandemic from April the 8th until April the 20th, 2020, the United States Mint at Philadelphia, here's the key number, produced 240,000 American Silver Eagle bullion coins. And if you go down there, the bottom it says they were minted in Philadelphia, fixed with a type label containing the box tracking number. Right. The box tracking numbers were handwritten directly on the boxes, and they were numbers 400,000 through 400,479. And then below that, the United States Mint does not sell its bullion coins directly to the public. Instead, we distribute our coins through a network of official distributors called authorized purchasers. So what happened is they made 240,000 of these coins at Philadelphia. And that's a big monster box that we see behind there. That has 500 coins. That's how they go to the authorized purchasers. Those boxes are sealed. So the Mint announces they make 240,000 coins. And because all United States regular Mint State Eagles are homogeneous, they do not affix mint marks to them. So we had to take these boxes with the correct tracking numbers, and then we have them certified by one of the 4 grading companies to be the emergency production Philadelphia minted American Silver Eagles. Wow. Of the 240,000 made at the Philadelphia Mint, I suspect we bought somewhere between 60 and 80,000 of them. To be able to do this. It is by far and away the best-selling coin I think we've ever had at HSN. We brought out the Annex first day of issue, sold out instantly. Mint State 70 and Mint State 69. Then we brought out NGCs, Mint State 70, Mint State 69, totally sold out. We brought out PCGS, Mint State 70, Mint State 69, completely and totally sold out. I have no more. Last week, I brought out the Mint State 70s. I've been trying to hold these to give everybody an opportunity. The Mint State 70 ICG. Sold them all out last week. This is the last of the emergency issues that I have. So this is guaranteed to be minted at Philadelphia from the emergency issue. It is certified out of one of these boxes. The letter that I just read accompanies your coin. So you have 2020 Silver Eagles, which are by far and away the most collectible coins in the entire Silver Eagle series. There's no doubt about that. I mean, demand is up 20, 30, 40, 50, 100, 500%. I mean, it's just double, triple, quadruple. But within that, you've got this tiny, tiny, tiny little microcosm of coins that were minted at Philadelphia. So they're going to make this year 40 million American Silver Eagles. 240,000 of them will be emergency issue. Wow. This is just this tiny little sliver that was minted at Philadelphia. The United States Mint did this one other time in 2015 because of demand. Mm-hmm. They made coins at Philadelphia. In Mint State 69, that coin is $500 to $800 today. In Mint State 70, it's still a $2,000 coin.
Wow. I
have got these because these are out of my original boxes. We went out and bought every single box we could get our hands on through all of the authorized purchasers that would sell them to us. And then we bought more on the secondary market. We did everything in our power to buy as many of these as is humanly possible, and this is it. This is all I had. If I'm to go into the market today to buy these, I'm looking at this coin. I'm going to have to be $199, $249, $279 because the prices, there's a couple of boxes that haven't been graded, I'm guessing, but the vast majority of all of the boxes of these coins have already been graded and are already in collectors' hands. As a matter of fact, I've never really seen a modern issue coin really kind of strike the fancy of everybody, out there. Like I have the emergency issue coin, and like I said, you can see the letter that comes with it really explains what's going on. It's 2020 in a nutshell.
I mean, this is a literal piece of history sitting right here, and you're so right. This goes beyond even just coin collectors. There is so much happening right here in this one coin in terms of the collectability, the emergency need, the letter that's coming with it. You're right, this is 2020 encapsulated right here. And so in terms of collectability, Mike, I mean, you mentioned the last time with an emergency issue in 2015 and how that has changed over the years, the collectability of that coin. What do you think is going to happen with this one in years to come when someone tries to go out and find one?
Well, I mean, years to come, try to find one now.
Yeah.
I mean, forget about years to come. How about 10 minutes from now?
It's just, it's real history
that's literally
right here.
what you're looking at right now.
Right.
I don't have a Mint State 70 coin to sell. We sold them all $299, $329. Sold out every single one of them.
Wow.
I don't even know what they go for in the marketplace. It's crazy to even find these. The popularity of these coins is virtually unlike anything I've ever seen. Because, I mean, it just exemplifies 2020.
Yeah.
I mean, last year of issue. So now you have the last year of issue. Look, 2020 Silver Eagles, just by themselves, are phenomenally and ridiculously collectible because it's the end of an era. It's the last coin. It's the legacy coin. They're changing the design next year. So any 2020 Silver Eagle is collectible and desirable. But now you have a tiny little fraction of that production. The rarest of the rarest of the rare, these 240,000 coins that were minted at Philadelphia out of 40 million coins that were minted that are these emergency production. You have to understand, 240,000 coins makes this one of the rarest coins, Silver Eagles, made by the United States Mint.
Wow.
I mean, like the 2006 reverse proof coin, one of the great American Silver Eagles, the first reverse proof coin, they made 250,000. In Mint State 69, that coin to this day is $299, $399. I mean, you pick it right in there. This coin has significantly more historical significance, if you ask me. I don't think there's any doubt about that. Significantly more historical significance. I think from a collector standpoint, since it's the end of an era, it's the last year of issue, it becomes even more collectible. And so just as a 2020, and then you have this tiny microcosm of these emergency issue coins. And for those of you that want to explain it, like I said, once again, the letter from a copy of the letter from the U.S. Treasury comes with the coin. So that explains it perfectly. And understand, you can only buy these coins if they're certified. and they must be certified by NGC, PCGS, Annex, or ICG, period. Those are the only 4 recognized grading companies, because they do not bear a Philadelphia mint mark. They had to have come out of a sealed box. We bought the box sealed from the AP, the authorized purchaser. Goes in an armored car. Goes to the grading company. They open the box and then certify its provenance, the fact that this is one of the Philadelphia minted coins. And we graded it at we had mint state 70s, mint state 69s. As a matter of fact, we certified coins just as Philadelphia. I mean, coins that were rejects that we would have never certified to sell, and even those coins sell for $100. You know, just the regular gem BUs. It's unheard of that modern issue American Silver Eagles can sell for huge premiums just because they were emergency issue coins. So to get the mint state 69, to get the letter, put that whole thing in there, this is a phenomenal piece of American history.
Well, and just to give some advice for those of you who are shopping right now, if you're calling us and you're on hold and you don't want to wait, I do recommend the 2 other options you can do. You can go to hsn.com. You can use our free app. Just type in this item number right there on your screen. That's 735-646. It's going to bring this right up. You can go ahead and